before we initiate. One second, Mani, can we?
Sir?
Yeah. Hello, everyone. My name is Santosh Somireddy. I'm the founder of Somireddy Law Group. We're a full-service law firm with offices in Virginia, New Jersey, and India. My core areas of practice include immigration, litigation, corporate, and employment law. Before we get to the topic, a small disclaimer that anything that we discuss here today should be construed as friendly advice, and so we want you to seek individual legal consultation before you make any decisions. Further, this call does not create any attorney-client relationship. So let's get into the topic. Today's topic is regarding the H1B cap registrations for the fiscal year 2023, and what are the, we'll discuss about the things to keep in mind, the typical pitfalls, and also the options available in case someone's H1B does not get picked up in lottery. Okay, so while we're going through the process, we'll also be like at the end of each topic, we'll start taking some questions from the audiences, and we'll go from there. As you're all aware, the cap registrations for the fiscal year 2023 will open on has opened on March 1st, 2022, and it will close on March 18th noon. So we want to make sure we submit all the registrations during this time. And now I will also discuss about the pitfalls to avoid doing the cap registration, and then we'll provide you with some options in case to hire the worker, like to hire the foreign worker on H1B, even if the petition does not get settled in lottery. So USCIS on February 23rd made a requirement for additional attestation, requiring the company submitting the H1B registration for the CAP 2023 lottery. So USCIS is requiring employers to attest that the registration reflects a legitimate job offer, and that the employer is not working in conjunction with any other entity to unfairly increase the chance of beneficiary selection under the lottery. Okay, so if USCIS finds out that the attestation was not true, or if the employer worked with other entities, whether they are related or unrelated, to submit multiple registrations on behalf of the same beneficiary, then they will, USCIS will conduct an investigation and deny all the applications that are filed on behalf of the beneficiary. Okay, so let's get it, like we'll go through this as, did we receive any questions so far? Okay, so if anyone has questions, just is there a way to, you can either post it or raise your hand. Like, Mani, is there a way that they can raise a hand or something?
Yes, sir, but we ask them to post the questions in the chat. In that way, we can ask the questions very quickly, but yeah.
Okay. If there is a chance option for them to raise a hand, please allow that one. And team, we are doing this for the first time, so please bear with us, but we'll make the topic as much interesting as possible. Okay, so the first thing that we need to notice, there is no restriction that you cannot, different employers can submit registration for the same beneficiary as long as they have a separate bona fide offer available for the beneficiary. Okay, so here the burden of proof is on the employer to show that they are not working in conjunction with other employers to unfairly increase the chance of beneficiaries cap getting selected in lottery. This becomes a challenge if the two entities submitting registrations on behalf of the employer, like on behalf of the employee, are related entities. So if they are sister companies, then there's a presumption that the employer, both the employers work together in submitting multiple registrations for the beneficiary. But if the companies are different companies, like if they're completely unrelated companies, then Then also we need to make sure that they are not submitting the registrations for the same position. Assume that, I'll give a small example. Assume that you are submitting like you filed H1B registration for a candidate whose selection, whose case got selected in lottery. Now, when filing the H1B petition, you need to make sure that the client that you are using, the vendor that you are using, has not submitted registrations for the same candidate. If they have done so, then that means that all of you are submitting the registration for the same candidate for the same position. Does that make sense? Does anyone have questions regarding this portion of it?
Sir, we have a question, sir. Two questions. The first one is, without a project, can we do a registration for a candidate?
So during the registration, do we need to provide a client name? Okay, during the registration, you're not required to provide a client name, but you need to have a bona fide job offer available for the beneficiary, right? So when I say bona fide job offer, you should be in a position to submit the petition for the beneficiary once the case gets selected in lottery. Does it answer your question, Durga?
Sir, there's another question that we got. Without project, can we do a registration for a candidate?
Well, you need to have a bona fide job offer, right? So how do you prove that you have a bona fide job offer if you do not have a position available for the beneficiary? So assume that you have an MSA with a client who is going to hire a software developer, right? Then you have a bona fide job offer available for the beneficiary. I know that you may not be able to sign the complete purchase order immediately, but you have a position available for the beneficiary at that point of time. My master's will be completed in May 1st week. I'm eligible to file H1B. Yes. So you need to, for example, if your petition gets selected under the US Master's Cap, then you must graduate, or you should have completed the graduation requirements as of the day we file the H1B petition. So as long as, for example, if the petition gets selected on April 1st, then you have until June 30th to file the H1B petition. And as long as you meet the graduation requirements before June 30th, you are fine.
So actually, I have a question. Sorry.
Sure.
So let's say I have a employee, right? I mean, I found a person who is willing to file H1B. So how will the USCIS differentiate between two employers, right? So I file for an employee, right? So how does USCIS understand that, okay, he applied through two companies and these two are related?
So we will be submitting your passport number and your information, right, at the time of registration, and they'll be able to sort it out. Also, your CS might randomly conduct an audit on an employer who submitted registrations on your behalf. If your CS finds out that they have submitted a registration on your behalf without having a legitimate job offer, then it will be a problem. Does it make sense?
Sir, also we have a few employers who ask this question. If at all USCIS conducts an audit, and would they really ask to show the project availability beginning the registration?
Good. So they have to have a legitimate job offer available, right? So assume that there is a client, like, because if they have like 10 Java positions available, right? So, and if they are in a position to hire the candidate, then they can submit the registration. because the project is actually going to start from October 1st. Does it answer your question, Harry? Team, someone is muting everybody. Good. What happens if, as an employee, submits applications from different vendors? Okay, so if yes, as I mentioned, right? Assume that you submit a petition using a particular vendor and a client, right? If the vendor and the client submit a registration, and if there is another employer who is submitting H1B petition using the same vendor and the client, then it's a problem, because you're all working to it's like all the three entities are working together in order to increase the chances of beneficiaries cap case getting selected in lottery.
Okay, so regarding this, there is a question, right? So there are two employers, right? So how does the USCIS understand that there is a relation between these two employers? So let's say an employee.
It's not okay. First thing I want to make it clear: just because there are two companies are related does not always mean that they are does not always mean that it's for the same position. Okay, because few years ago we had a case wherein two sister companies filed H1B petitions for the same individual. We were able to get it through because we were able to show that it was for a completely different position.
So okay, so as long as we have a MSA with a vendor,
for example, even if they are related companies, right? Because see, whenever you have a related companies, the issue is there is a presumption that USCIS has a presumption that they are working together, right? So you need to, for example, even if they are success companies, if you are working on, for example, if they assume that there is a person who is on H4EAD, right? He is working for two companies. From two companies, he's working on two different projects. Then I don't see any issue in these two companies submitting registration for the same candidate, because they have a separate legitimate bona fide job offer available for the beneficiary.
okay. So one thing is like, so when you say legitimate job offer, okay, so I have an MSA with a vendor, let's say. So that will be sufficient to suffice saying that, okay, I have a job offer. So
well, when you have an agreement with the vendor, but to place where would it be placed at?
So okay, so I have so the employee or the person that I'm filing with is not with my company. He has a project, okay, but if he gets picked up in my company, I will have a job offer for him, right? So that's different from the job he's working on.
Okay, so then USCIS might come back and check whether you and the employer, like they'll come back and see, hey, was it the first issue would rise here. Okay, you submitted a registration for the candidate, right? Assume that your company is ABC, okay, and your company is A Corp. The company that the beneficiary is currently working is B Corp. Okay, the beneficiary is currently providing services through TCS to Capital One, right?
Yeah.
And the petition did not get, like the registration did not get picked up with company B, but it got picked up with you, company A, right? So now when company A is using the same vendor and client,
yeah,
right? Then they will be able to trace it out. They will say that both of you were trying to submit registration for the same position.
how? Because during the registration we don't provide any
You do not
details,
provide
right?
that during the registration, but if there is an audit.
Okay.
You see the issue, right?
Yeah,
If there
yeah.
is an audit, they'll come back and they'll come and ask you, hey, which position did you submit the registration for? Then you will say, hey, this is the position, right? And then if the same thing, if they ask for the other employer who submitted the registration, they will find out that both of you were trying to submit, were working together to submit the registration for the same position.
Oh,
Let's say TCS is filing for him, and I am the ABC company. I am filing for him individually. In case, even though we are not related, but in future, if I get some contract from them, TCS, so I need to supply my employees. So in that scenario, is that going to be like again we are going to cut off and then
yes, they see. As I mentioned, right, when you're submitting the petition for the H1B petition for a candidate, right? So make sure the vendor and the client did not submit registrations for the same candidate. If they did that, then we need to have some documentation to prove that the vendor submitted the petition for a different position or not this position.
Okay, as long as they are, I mean, different job positions, we don't have any issue.
Different project, different, yeah, because see, the USCIS clearly states that you cannot be working in conjunction to submit multiple registrations for the same beneficiary.
Okay, makes sense.
Okay, so let's just go through these questions. Surendra, did you answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Next, Simi, some beneficiaries submit H1B with two consultancies in parallel. If both consultancies are working as subcontract to each other, is that allowed? Yes, USCIS will easily figure it out. So there are a few things that USCIS will do. Just FYI. Assume that two companies are submitting registrations for the same set of beneficiaries. For example, they are a beneficiary A, B, C, D, E, right? And A Corp and B Corp, both of them are submitting registrations for the same candidate, then it's a red flag. Okay. Second thing, if A company and B company, like for example, if the petition gets selected through A Corp, right? And if you're using B Corp as a vendor who has also submitted registration, then also it's a red flag. Okay. And sometimes it may also happen that some beneficiaries get picked up under A, they always use B Corp, and petitions who get selected under B Corp, if they use A Corp, then also it's a red flag because USCIS will be able to find it out. They may not do that complete audit on all the clients, but they might randomly select some clients and do this end of an audit.
Okay,
So
got it.
please do not submit multiple registrations unless you have a completely different bona fide job offer available for the beneficiary. Does that make sense, Simi?
Yes, yes. Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. Ramakrishna, if 5 different companies are ready to file H1B for a single employee, is it legal? Good. First thing, technically speaking, it does not look like it's a legitimate job offer because any beneficiary may, if at all, they may have 1 or 2 job offers or maybe maximum 3, but nobody can have like 5 job offers available for them at the same point of time. Right? I'm definitely sure like this time USC is going to sort out the number of employers that are filing registrations on behalf of the same employee, and then those are the cases that will get more randomly audited. Does that make sense? Okay, so while we are waiting for more questions, I want to give you some other advice. Even how many of you know that there are different ways to file H1B petition, even if the petition does, even if the registration does not get selected under lottery, right? So assume like there are 3 ways that an employer can still file H1B petition for a beneficiary, even if it does not go through the lottery. The first option is available for only non-profit organizations or government institutions. But there are 2 other options that typical IT company can take advantage of and use it to file H1B petitions. Number one, for example, if there is an employee who is working for a cap exempt petition, cap exempt employer, then you will be able to file a concurrent H1B for that person even without going through the lottery, and then he can continue working for you on H1B. Is that clear, or do you want me to go over this in a little more detail?
Can you go to it in a little bit of detail?
Sure. So, as I mentioned, right? So typically all the IT companies, for you to file H1B petition, you have to, the beneficiary's H1B has to get selected in lottery, right? But there are certain employers like non-profit organizations, some non-profit research organizations, some government organizations, which can file cap exempt petition. So for them, they don't have to go through the lottery process. They can just file the H1B at any point of time. Okay. So, and these H1Bs can be for part-time or a full-time position. Cap petitions can be for part-time or full-time also. So assume that a person is working part-time for a cap exempt employer, right? So you can parallelly file his concurrent H1B without going through the lottery process. So he could be working full-time for you, at the same time working part-time for a cap exempt employer. He can continue working for you as long as he's working for that cap exempt employer. Is that clear, PK? PK, you're on mute. Okay, good. So I will go through the third option. Okay, third option is, even if you're a for-profit employer, if yes, he can do two jobs. So even if you're a for-profit employer, if you are placing the beneficiary at a non-profit or a research organization, and if the beneficiary's job duties are in furtherance of the mission of that organization, then also you will be eligible to file a cap exempt petition. Okay, assume that you there is an organization that is doing, that there is a government organization that is doing research on robotics, okay, or some technology. And if you are submitting, if you have a candidate for whom you are filing H1B petition, and if the candidate's job duties will further the mission of that entity, right? And if you're placing that person at that entity location, then also you can file a cap exempt petition. Does this make sense?
So this cap exempt and then cap, I mean, I'm getting confused actually. So
okay,
the organization is completely depends on the organization which they are filing for cap exempt, or it's gonna be any.
Yeah. So for example, if you're placing, you have a client that you'll be using, right?
Okay.
Okay, if the client is a research organization,
Okay.
or a governmental agency, right? And if the beneficiary is working for more than 20 hours at that location,
okay,
and if the job duties the beneficiaries will be performing will further the mission of that entity, that organization, then you can file a cap exempt petition.
So let's say an organization like TCS, they can file cap exempt as well. It means
yes, any organization can file a cap exempt petition. That's what I'm trying to say. But there are certain conditions that they have to meet.
Okay.
The condition is, number one, the beneficiary should be working from a cap exempt employer location. When I say cap exempt employer location, the research organization or a governmental agency, right? Second thing is, the beneficiary has to work for a substantial period of time from that location. So more than 20 hours from that location.
Okay.
Third requirement is that the beneficiary's job duties should further the mission of that entity. So if these three conditions are met, then also a employer can file a cap exempt petition.
I have another question. Let's say that cap exempt petition got approved, and then he moved to US, and then when he switched to another H1, is it going to be similar? Or it's like
No, so he cannot. Yeah, he cannot switch to a regular cap petition.
okay.
So he can only work on that for that client. He cannot work for the different client.
Okay.
So if you change the client, then the petition is gone. You have to go through the cap process again.
Okay.
Durga, does it answer your question? Good. So apart from this, so in order to file a cap exempt petition, either the beneficiary has to qualify for cap exempt or the petitioner has to qualify for cap exempt. So just now we discussed how a petitioner can be qualified for cap exempt, right? So now we will discuss how a beneficiary can also qualify for cap exempt. Okay, so typically a beneficiary can qualify for cap exempt if he has held H1B status in the last 6 years, right? Further, the beneficiary's H1B petition should not have been withdrawn during the same fiscal year. So for example, if you're submitting H1B petition on behalf of a beneficiary, cap H1B petition, so the fiscal year will start from October 1st. So from this year, October 1st until next year, September 30th, if the petition is revoked by the employer, or if USCIS revokes the application for fraud or misrepresentation, then the cap number will be recaptured. And the beneficiary will have to go through the cap registration, the lottery process again. Is this clear? And in the recent past, USCIS has clarified that even if a person has held H1B status before 6 years, then also the person is cap exempt. So Venkat, to answer your question, you answered apology. Can we file multiple applications from different companies for a single person? Okay, so different entities can file H1B for the same person as long as they have a different legitimate bona fide job offer available for the beneficiary. The companies should not be working in sync to submit multiple registrations for the same beneficiary to increase the chances of his case getting selected in lottery. Does this answer your question, Venkat? Can I approach my employer to file my H1B for my visa is H4 if I can? Yeah. So if you have a project and if you're currently on H4, I don't know if you're working H4 EAD or H4, but if you have a project, yes, the employer can definitely file H1B registration on your behalf. And please know there's another thing that I want to make it clear. So assume that someone's petition gets picked up in lottery through a company. Okay, you have only one chance of submitting the petition to USCIS. So somebody asked me, hey, Santosh, like, we've received this registration for a candidate. We filed the initial petition and the project changed before we got the approval. So can I change the project now? You cannot do that because you have only one chance to submit the petition to USCIS using one registration. So if the initial petition gets denied for some reason, you cannot resubmit another H1B petition for the candidate using the same registration.
That's clear. I have another question.
Yeah.
Let's say I just filed with 5 different employers, and then out of 5, maybe 3 places my lottery got picked up. Out of 3, first application, I'm gonna tell them that okay, let's process it for my project with one of the employer. But the remaining 2, I'm just gonna hold them. After I came to know the status, let's say if it get rejected, or I can tell to the second employer, can you just file for my process? Or it's like definitely yes, will come to know about myself, and then they're going to reject it.
See here, the problem is, Surendra, will they be using the same project?
No, they are different.
Yeah, if they're completely different, then no issues.
Okay. Thanks.
Yeah. Nidishwi, I think you're on mute. Can you explain what is a job, bona fide job? Bona fide job, when you say bona fide job, it's actually a job that exists for a candidate. Like it's not a cooked up position. So for example, if you have an MSA saying that, or something, some document showing that you have, if you are in the position to legitimately offer a position for the candidate, then it's a bona fide job offer. And typically for an IT company, they will not offer a position to candidate until, especially if it's a staffing company, right? They will not offer a position to candidate until they have some project in hand. Durga, looks like you raised a hand.
Yeah, sorry, I had a question.
Sure.
So let's say one candidate applied with 2 employers for the same project. Okay, one got picked up and one did not. So the other one was not the current employer, but if he, so let's say in April, right? April first week, he got like, okay, your application is selected. And once, can he start looking for a job from April to June? Within 1 month, he got a job. That's a different one, right? So will it work? Or
well, if USCIS conducts an audit on that employer and asks them, hey, did you have a legitimate job offer for him? And if he's able to, at that point, at the time of submit registration, then he should be fine. If not, it's going to be a problem, right? An employer should not submit a registration assuming that they will receive some project in future. Right?
I mean, we will show that like, okay,
sure
we had a job, right?
Was that?
No, so the thing was like, so while registration, we'll say that, okay, we have a job, right? So after getting up the lottery, we'll find a job and we do the
That's what I'm trying to say. He has to have he may have to provide some document. In case of an audit, he should show that he had a legitimate position available for you. For example, assume that he is in requirement of 10 Java candidates, right? And if you're a Java candidate, then yes, he has a legitimate job offer available for you.
Okay, then they are always available, right? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay, that answers my question.
Ronak? Ronak?
Hey, I have one question. So I have SOWs from 2 to 3 clients, and I do not have any employees so far on my company, and we are doing freelancing to finish those projects. Now I'm planning to apply H1 who live in India, and my question is like, if they get RFE, and is it good to proceed with the RFE to resolve? I mean, will it affect to the company, or I'm trying to understand.
Could you repeat once again?
So I have the SOWs from 2 to 3 clients. and all those projects are completed by the freelancing. I mean, we do not have any employees so far in the US or in India, but this time we are planning to apply for H1s for Indian who live in India, and so if they get RFE in this process.
So you have, okay, you're speaking about some freelance projects, okay, but is there are you a company who does all the freelancing work?
Yes.
Was that?
Yes.
So that is your project, like, so wherein you do all the, like, you're in the business of providing freelance work, and then you need like somebody to work full time.
No. So there is a company, and they do have the SOWs from the client, and they are giving the work to us, and we are doing right now freelancing for them. And I requested them to apply for NH1, and they said they do not have any employees in the US and not in the India. So
when you say you're doing freelancing, right? Are you a company or as an individual?
As an individual.
So, okay, an individual cannot file H1B, right?
Right. So I requested the company to file, but they mentioned they do not have an employees in the US. So they are in dilemma that if they get
it will be a challenge. So for H1B, for not to file H1B, okay, it has like there should be an employer-employee relationship.
Okay.
For freelancing, there is no employer-employee relationship. First thing. Okay, so there itself you will not pass a muster.
Okay.
Right? So it does not work for freelancing.
Okay, but I mean, this is like a future sponsorship, right? So if they consider as an employee in future.
Still, if they are just a freelancing company, because they'll be hiring contractors and not employees, so it doesn't work out.
Oh, okay.
Because H1B is for employees, not for contractors.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Good. So, brother, how will they have an idea of the employees looking for a project when they don't submit his packet? I didn't understand your question, Prasad. Good. Okay, Nidhisri, do I need OPT or CPT to file H1B? Am I going to complete my master? I'm going to complete my master's in May first week. Okay, so in order to file H1B, you don't have to have OPT or CPT. Even a person who just came here to do masters can still file H1B. So there is no requirement that you have to be on OPT or CPT or even be present in the US to file H1B petition. Is that clear, Nidhishri?
Yes, but I have one more question. If I got picked up in the lottery, so I don't have any job, right? So what document should I submit at the time of the like submission point?
No. Your employer should have a position available for you at the time of submitting the registration, right? At the time of filing the petition.
Okay.
So that job is going to start from October 1st.
What if I start my job prior to the October 1st on CPT or OPT?
I'm confused. Could you repeat once again?
If I want to start a job on OPT before the October 1st, how it works for the H1?
Yeah, you can. So there are two ways of doing it. One is if you request for, if you have you can either request for a change of status to H1 or you can request for cancel notification. So if you request for a change of status, right, you will continue to work on OPT until your H1B is approved, and automatically once your H1B is approved with I-94, your status will change to H1. Okay. And the second option, although your H1B is approved, you will continue to stay on your F1 status. You can continue working on OPT until you go out of the country or change your status to H1B here in the US.
Okay, got it.
When you say go out of the country, go out of the country, come back using H1B visa.
Oh, okay.
Does that make sense?
Yep, thank you.
Good. So if no one has any questions regarding this topic, I want to discuss about the non-compete clauses and their enforceability. Anyone has any questions regarding this capital registrations? Off topic, can GC holder do multiple jobs? Yes, there is no restriction. Any person on except for OPT EADs, you can do as many number, like we can work for any employer for any number of hours. There is no restriction. GC holder, H4 EAD, GC EAD, you can work for any employer or any number of jobs. Mani, can you unmute Venkat Tota?
Yes, sir.
So there is one issue in doing multiple jobs. Who asked me this one? Yeah, Satish. Satish, when you are doing multiple jobs, if for example, if you're working as a full-time employee for a company A, right? So before you take up any other job, make sure to review the employee handbook as well as the employment agreement. Make sure there is no clause that states that you cannot work for another employer when you are employed full-time with this employer. So if the employment handbook or if the employment agreement clearly says that you cannot work for another employer, and if you are continuing to do so, then your full-time employer can go after you for any legal remedies. It does not matter, okay. So even if it's a contractor, right? Unless the agreement, if the agreement says that you have to devote full time, then you have to be careful. If the agreement does not say so, then you can work for any number of projects. Okay, good. And also, just to be careful, I know some of you are working on multiple projects and you're submitting timesheets to, assume that you're submitting timesheets to 3 different clients saying that you're working 8 hours, right? If somehow they find out that you are submitting fraudulent timesheets, then also they can go after you.
Hi, sir. This is Venkat. My question is not relevant to new H1B filing. Actually, I'm based out of India. My application has been picked up and approved in the year of October 2020. But okay, as there is no requirement, my employer is not sending me for the H1B stamping again. But my friend's company is willing to transfer my H1B if I can provide the I-797 document to them. Okay. But my employer is not sharing the approval notice and I-797 document. Okay, so but okay, I got to know that okay, we can get the required documents from US CIS okay, by using Freedom of Information Act. Okay, so but I'm not sure. Okay. Could you please help me out?
Here's a problem. Yeah. If your employer revokes the petition, right, you will be cap subject again. Okay. Do you at least have the receipt notice for the petition?
Yeah. Yes. I have the receipt number. So actually,
not the number. Do you have the receipt notice?
No, they didn't share anything.
So without, okay, if you have just the receipt number, how do we know that it was actually your receipt?
I have only receipt number only, sir.
That does not help you because there is no guarantee that it's actually your petition, right?
Yes. Actually, I'm ready to take the appointment from your law firm. Okay, so is it possible?
Still, yeah, we can definitely do the appointment, but it does not, like, until you know for sure that it's your receipt number, there's not much we can do. Try to file request and see if you can get some documentation from USCIS directly.
Yeah, actually, when I searched from the USCIS by using my petition number, it is saying that okay, it was approved. Okay.
I know.
But, yeah.
It says it's approved, but it's not guaranteed that it's actually your petition.
Okay. Okay, then how to proceed further on it, sir? Okay, so can you
Try to file a FIRE request from USCIS website and request for a complete set of your immigration documents and see if they will provide something to you.
Yeah, well, actually, I posted the same question in Facebook. Okay, so many of people are saying that, okay, first of all, get petition papers through Freedom of Information Act,
Yeah.
and then file I-824. Okay, then you'll get the
824. You cannot file it. You cannot file 824 for H1B. Only the employer can file.
Okay. So I can get the SNS document from the Freedom of Information Act, right? Is it possible? Actually, I'm ready to take the appointment from your end. Okay, so I don't know the process. Okay,
No.
Can you help me out on this? Is it possible?
FIRE request, you don't need an attorney for that. You can just do it yourself.
Okay.
Okay, just Google FOIA USCIS, and then it will take you to a link where you just have to provide your information and request a complete set of all your immigration records. Okay, because we don't even know if we can really help you, because there's no guarantee that that's actually your receipt notice number.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So, okay, since we have only 10 more minutes, I'm not going to go through the non-compete non-solicitation process today, but that will be a very good topic that we'll discuss in the near future. Okay, so next is Satwik. My STEM OPT expires this July. My employer is filing H1B this year. If it gets picked up, can I work from July? Okay. As long as your employer files the H1B petition before your OPT expires, you'll be eligible for cap, right? So which will allow you to continue working until October 1st. Does it answer your question, Satwik? Swastik? Make sure your employer files H1 petition before your OPT expires so that you can continue working on cap until October 1st. It's just filing, not based on approval. So as long as you file it, you're fine. Because once you file it, you will be able to check with your DSO and get the OPT cap I-20.
Okay, yeah, that answers my question. Thank you.
You're welcome. Good. Any other questions?
Hi, this is Uday. I just joined.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. So I just got the email, the link from the Prakash, but I just have a couple of questions to ask. So right now, I'm working and I'm on H1B. My H1 level is on level 4 now. So I want to change my employer, but I'm not sure if another employer would be able to provide me a level 4 H1B. So
it's not required. It is not required. Okay. So the wage levels are based on the complexity of the job that you job duties that you'll be performing, right? Okay. So if a job requires just a bachelor's degree, right, you can go with either level 1 or level 2. If it's a senior position, then you go with level 3 or level 4, right?
Yeah.
So if your new employer is filing petition for a lower level position, then they are not required to pay you level 4 wages. So you can definitely, and also it depends upon the SOC code too. For example, if you're working, if they file your petition as a manager, right, then you will be level 1 or level 2. But if they file the same petition, like a different employer files you for a senior software engineer, right, then you'll be level 3 or level 4. So this could change from position to position. So the same employer can actually file another petition for you in level 3 also, if there is a change in the job profile.
Okay, so because I don't have much experience, but the one which I'm working now, it's a almost direct client. I have just one layer and it has a good pay. So they did with my level 4. So if I change the employer and I only have 3 years of experience, then it will not
That's
cost.
fine. It does not matter.
Okay.
Like, it depends upon the complexity of the job duties that you're performing. So the new employer is free to file, like they can file your H1B using level 2, level 3, level 4, anything is fine.
Okay, and if I reduce the level and it will not affect in my future, right, for green card or anything?
What's that?
It will not affect in the future, like green card or
It
anything.
will not affect your green card.
Okay. Yeah, that was my main question. Thanks for that.
Yeah. Okay. Few companies are filing H1Bs. How can I check if it is a good company? That's a good question. Yeah, just make sure to check the company information online and see if any one of your colleagues, like friends, are working for the same company, and make sure they have a legitimate job offer for you. And do not pay any of these companies for filing their H1Bs. So all the expenses associated with the H1B filing has to be paid by the employers only.
Yeah, thank you, Santosh. Yeah, I just want to know. Yeah, thanks for details. Yeah, a few. I mean, there is an opportunity, like, multiple options. They're filing like 2, 3. I mean, more than one petition. So just want to make sure which company is good, because how we can check in online or like Google, or I mean, so.
Well, somebody just mentioned My Visa Jobs, right? Even in My Visa Jobs, there is no guarantee that it's a good company, because My Visa Job only says how many LCS were filed by the company, right? It does not even speak about how many H1s are filed by the company.
Correct.
Okay, so maybe there is a company who filed only 10 H1s, but they might have filed 200 LCS. So My Visa Jobs would show 200 number instead of 10.
Sure. So only I think reference is
references, and then look at their website to see it's a legitimate company, and they do not fall for those companies who are asking you to pay for the H1B fees and all that stuff. Regarding the premium, right? Premium, if the employer is requiring it, then they have to pay for it. If the employee is actually requesting for it, then the employee can pay for it.
Okay,
right.
yeah,
That's true. I agree.
So if the employee himself, if the premium, if the employee is requesting it for his benefit, then the employee can pay for it.
Okay, got it.
Okay, even for the GC cases, right? The perm, all the costs associated with the perm process has to be paid only by the employer. Okay, any fees or costs associated with filing I-140 and 485 can be paid either by the employee or the employer.
Yep.
So I-140 costs, whether legal fees or USCIS fees, same thing for 485, legal fees, USCIS fees, all that can be paid by either employee or the employer. But for perm, it has to be paid only by the employer.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think most of the companies, employers only paying. Yeah, just want to make sure. So they are applying our petition. Just want to make sure how trustworthy. I mean, there is a company and company.
If a company is spending all the money, right, and they're not asking money from you, they will not do it unless they have a legitimate project available, right?
Exactly, that's true.
Right, but if the company is asking you to pay for it, there is something wrong with it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's one. Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Okay,
thank you, Santosh.
Thank you. Prasad, your question is, so on H1B you can do multiple jobs? Yes, you can work for multiple employers while on H1B. You need to have the second employer has to file a concurrent H1B on your behalf. And this concurrent H1B can be for a part-time or a full-time position. Okay, and also H1B petition can be filed, even the CAP petition also can be filed either for a part-time position or a full-time position. From GCAD and H4AD, yes. Any other questions? I know we have 2 more minutes.
Is there any way USCIS can track the candidates, like they have been filing multiple applications kind of?
It's easy for them to track it. Okay, all they need to, like, I don't know if anyone has listened to the USCIS session recently. They have given an option even for the employer to sort and see if they have submitted multiple registrations for the same beneficiary. And from USCIS side, they can definitely sort out the list of all the employers who filed H1B registrations for the same beneficiary. Right? And also they can check if multiple employers try to file for the same set of beneficiaries also.
Okay.
Okay. Well, I think we reached the time limit. First of all, I would like to thank everyone for joining this call. I'm hoping that this was helpful. And this is the first time that we are doing a call to our firm directly. And hopefully we will try to do more of these calls in the near future.
Okay. One
Thank
question,
you.
if I may. Oh,
Yeah.
One question, if I may ask, like it's about the candidates in Canada. Sorry, I typed my question in the chat. My bad. So if there are candidates in Canada, right, who are maybe students or who are like working there for like a couple of years, right? Can we file H1Bs for them? And is there any special restrictions or process we need to
No, it's the same thing. It's the same thing. You can file H1Bs for those candidates, but if they're Canadian citizens, then you can file TN visas also. Okay. Does it answer your question? How to apply TN visas? TN visas are pretty simple. Okay. So if TN visas are available for citizens of both Canada and Mexico. For Canadian citizens, all they need to do is just take all the paperwork for the TN visa application, go to the port of entry. At the port of entry, they will submit the documents to the CBP officer. They will get the visa stamping and then enter into the country. When it comes to Mexican citizens, they have to actually get the visa stamping done first at the US Embassy, and then they'll be able to enter through the CBP. Okay. Does it answer your question, Revati? Yes, you need to have a required job offer, and for IT positions, there are only a few positions that that qualify for TN visa, which is what do you call systems analyst. Computer systems analyst is the only position that is available for IT professionals. Okay, thank you. Yeah, I think yeah. Thank you all. I think we reached the time. Thank you all for joining this call, and hope it was beneficial to everyone.
Thank you, everyone. On behalf of all of us here at Somireddy Law Group, it's been wonderful hosting you all. If you have any further questions, do not hesitate to reach out to us at info@somireddylaw.com, and we'll get back to you as soon as possible. And hope everyone has a great weekend. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Manikanta. If one final question, can you share the recording?
Sure. Okay. Please send us an email at info@somireddylaw.com, and we can have it mailed to you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Yes, sir. The final question from my end. Actually, I just woke up in India, so I can't hear you properly. So can we file multiple applications from different companies? Okay. Yes, sir. Is it possible?
Actually, I answered this one in the call, so you'll be able to see that in the recording. I already answered this one.
Okay, sir.
Okay, you'll have it. You will just send us an email. We'll send you the recording.
Okay, sir. Sure. Thank you.
Yeah. Good luck. Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you, Santosh. Thank you all. Have a nice day.